We would be naive to suggest that governments have all the answers to all of the problems all of the time. This is where the NGO sector and the business community play a vital role in our province. Mr. Speaker, Albertans have long embraced the virtues of volunteerism and sense of personal responsibility and collective responsibility, not only for themselves, but also for their community. As we lead the country in volunteer hours and funds donated. Earlier today, Melanie Peters and Dean Smith from St. John's Ambulance are good examples. Also, the good people of Edmonton-Meadowlark are prime examples of this. The West End Seniors Activity Centre helps over 1,300 seniors live independently as they participate in programs so that they can enjoy their golden years, and is driven by the energy of its community members who volunteer their time and services to the operation of the centre. I invite Albertans to join me and my seniors at the Silver Hair Gala event on April 18th. Similarly, the Kids on Track program in the West End educates young people, especially those from immigrant and low-income families, about leadership, spiritual guidance, and more importantly, to believe in themselves. Covenant Health manages the Misericordia Community Hospital campus, where hundreds of healthcare workers and volunteers are able to provide quality care for the people of the West End. We have many fine elementary and junior high schools, in addition to Jasper Place and St. Francis Xavier High School, which educate the next generation of Albertans. And finally, Mr. Speaker, for employment, retail and recreation, we need to look no further than the jewel of my constituency, West Edmonton Mall, which provides employment to over 23,000 Albertans and has lured international attention and millions of visitors to this province. Mr. Speaker, Alberta has always attracted dreamers, people with big ideas, big ambitions and big plans. All they have required is the proper environment in which to prosper, a place where dreams and preparation meet opportunity. Alberta has been and will continue to be such a place. Alberta is a place where the third son of the young lady I told you about stands before you today, thankful for his parents' sacrifices, so that his children may create and achieve their own hopes and dreams. Mr. Speaker, I'm appreciative of every gift that this province has given to me and my family. I'm unwavering in my commitment to Alberta. To the good people of Edmonton-Meadowlark who have placed their trust in me, thank you. To my mom and dad, thank you. I love you both. Mr. Speaker, in summary, yes, Albertans will face challenging times ahead. The world will face tough times ahead. Times our pioneers, my family, and all Albertan families have seen before and have overcome only to see a better tomorrow. The U.S. President, President Obama, is visiting our country. And while our neighbors to the south pick themselves up and dust themselves off, in his words, we stand steady with our sleeves rolled up, back straight and our heads held high with a firm resolve to take on any challenge that confronts us. I would like to close with some thoughts from my constituents, Marie and Donna Armstrong. When we hope that the present economic recession won't get too bad or won't last too long, we put our hopes outside of ourselves, that a world which seems out of control will somehow not be what it is, or will somehow make itself better. Our hope comes from knowing that no matter how scary these times are going to be, we get to choose our response to this scary situation. We choose to stay in gratitude for the love of our family, the love our family has for each other, for tough issues of having a choice between eating out or staying in, for having the Rocky Mountains so near, and for knowing that of the 6 billion people on this planet, we have been given so much. For us, hope is not a wish born from fear, but comes from knowing that our inner choices keep the blessings we have in our lives bright within us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May God bless you. May God bless Alberta. May God bless Canada. May God bless the Queen. Thank you.
Honourable Member, Standing Order 29-2A is available. The Honourable Member for Edmonton Centre.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much to the member from Edmonton-Meadowlark. That was certainly a heartfelt statement, and I'm sure we all appreciate it. But there is something that is fascinating me And I have heard repeatedly, I have never heard so many Conservatives quote and reference a Democratic politician before in my life. And I've listened carefully to most of the responses to the throne speech that have happened in the House, and the member himself has just done it again. So please share with us, was it in briefing notes from the Public Affairs Bureau to mention President Obama? I'm fascinated that so many of the members of the government caucus have mentioned or referenced the new President of the United States. And could you share with me why so many of you are referencing him? I'm just fascinated.
The honourable member, if you choose, you don't have to.
Mr. Speaker, the answer to that question, not at all. This speech was written by myself and my assistant, and the lesson here to learn is we as elected members, we are here to solve problems. Whether we reference the President of the U.S. or not reference the President of the U.S., we're here to solve problems for Albertans. It shouldn't be our political affiliations that dictate these problems. One party or one belief system, they don't have the monopoly to quote or not quote anybody. Mr. Speaker, sure. I think the elected President of the U.S. is a respected man internationally by everybody. He's respected by members of this caucus, and I hope he's respected by the members of that caucus as well. But I thank the member opposite for asking that question. Thank you.
Others? Honourable member for Edmonton Riverview.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question really relates to the throne speech and the comments in the throne speech concerning healthcare and healthy communities and so on. And given the member's position, I think he's parliamentary assistant, if that's correct, on health, and his own medical background, I'd just like him to discuss the issue of staffing for healthcare, and particularly the long-term manpower shortages of nurses. We are in a position in Alberta of having a deliberate strategy of recruiting nursing staff from outside of the country, particularly underdeveloped countries. And I think that's a poor long-term strategy, because I just don't think it's right to be recruiting nurses from countries that need them even more than we do. So I'm wondering if the member could discuss that issue. It's not actually mentioned in the throne speech. I wish it had been. Is it appropriate for Alberta to have a long-term strategy of recruiting nursing staff from third world countries?
The honourable member, if you wish.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the honourable member for asking me that question. That's a very good question, in fact. In Alberta, today, we have 1,000 more nurses this year than we had last year. The real solution is education. We are educating more nurses, more LPNs, and more nursing aides. And the solution is not simply more nurses. While we do need more nurses, it's actually to give the nurses support. I work with 600 nurses, and and these are highly qualified people. And I see many of the nurses pushing stretchers, cleaning blood off the stretchers, cleaning floors, changing diapers, jobs that they ought not to do.
That's right.
So, on the immigration issue, we do have teams looking for nurses internationally in countries that have a policy where they create an oversupply of nurses. That is their immigration, that is their business and immigration policy. And the ones that are qualified and that have worked in hospitals that have the standards that we have, we bring them into our country, and they have an opportunity to help their families back home, and in doing so, help their local economies. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm glad the honourable member asked about those nurses, because these were the people initially, when we came to this country. My grandfather came here, he worked here, and he supported his family back home. When it was convenient for the whole family to come here, we are the new Canadians. This is how we get new Canadians. Thank you.